Hey guys, so it's Emma at The Engineer Guy. I'm just going to go over some things today, and today we're talking about blood. So we have a bunch of different types here. A lot of them are Krylon. Of course we carry other brands. We also do have Fleet Street, which is a really, really great one. So first I'm going to kind of show you the textures of them and talk about them a little bit. Then I'm going to apply them on my skin and you can see them after they're dry. So first things first, let's take a look at Krylon Fresh Scratch. This one is a super, super jelly type, really like blue-based red. Super, kind of that like fresh blood look. If you can see, it's like pretty like dry. And I'm going to apply this on just a white paper plate so that you can see it against like a true background in case you're going to be using this on clothing or anything like that. Fresh Scratch I probably wouldn't use on clothing, doesn't make any sense. So that's just that one. So you can see it's this like really blue-based bright red. Now we'll look at the SFX Blood from Krylon. This is the dark. It does also come in a lighter, more arterial color, and I'm going to apply it just right here. As you can see, it's a lot deeper and a little bit more workable, I would say, than the Fresh Scratch. So it's not quite as like gummy and difficult. Now, let's look at the HD Blood, which comes in this great little dropper. This is going to be more of that really lightweight, kind of more drippy blood. I wouldn't say super lightweight, maybe like medium. So that's that one. Really nice like depth to it. It's not too dark and it's not too pinky. Now we'll look at the HD Blood Gel, which of course is going to be more jelly. And that is that one. Definitely more of a brown color. And it's kind of like almost creamy, not too jelly to where it's like super coagulated, but it definitely has some texture to it. Now, onto these. Let's take a look at the Blood FX from Krylon. And these have been shaken up, by the way. You should always shake them. Okay, so this one is really similar to the HD Blood, but this is the darker color, and it's a little bit more drippy. If you're looking for something that you're going to kind of do any kind of like blood splatter with or anything like that, I would definitely go with something that's much more of that liquidy texture versus something that's that gummy or heavy texture. Those are going to be great for building up texture on prosthetics and for a more dried blood effect. So now let's take a look at the Fleet Street. This is a really great one. I'm a big fan because it's more of a brown base, so when it's dry, it looks more like actual old blood versus something, especially on clothing, anything white or anything like that, that turns that like super almost magenta color. This doesn't do that, so it's really great. So first, let's do the Fresh Blood, and then we'll look at the dark. Alright, so as you can see, Fresh Blood is more of that, still kind of a brown base, but it's a lot brighter. And the dark is this one here. And just so you guys know, these are the drying blood, so we'll apply these on the skin in a minute and you'll see kind of how they dry down, because it's really nice. And last but not least, this product from Krylon, which is super, super thick. But definitely useful. This one you would use super sparingly, probably. It's the darkest of the bunch, almost a purple color. And it's this super gelatinous kind of really, you gotta scoop it out of there. And it'll definitely kind of build up in places so that you can kind of get that coagulated effect. Good for kind of building depth of color. All right, so now we'll just apply them on the skin. First, I'm going to do the SFX Blood. And Fresh Scratch. I almost want to warm this up with my fingers just a bit. To be honest, I think our tester is just a little bit worse for wear. So let's take a look at the HD Blood. And of course, as you can see, the SFX Blood is already starting to dry down and set. We have the HD Blood Gel. And our Blood Effects. Now we'll go in with the Fleet Street Drying Blood in Fresh. And I'm just kind of swatching these bad boys. I'm not trying to do anything fancy, so it's not going to look like a wound or anything like that. And we'll do Fleet Street Dark. Just kidding, that's still fresh. Alright, now we'll do Fleet Street Dark. I'm going to thin this out just a bit so that we get just a little faster drying time. And now, the wound filler. And honestly, I have this in the category with bloods, but just as the name suggests, it's more of a wound filler. So it'll pair great with bloods, but it's more of kind of like building that depth of color inside wounds. So now we're just going to let these dry and I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm back and it's been about 6 minutes just for reference. Everything's pretty much all dried as much as it will dry. So let's take a look at kind of how they, how they dry. So Fresh Scratch, still, that kind of sheer. It's almost dry to begin with. So anyway, SFX Blood Dark is giving this really nice, like super dry effect. It's almost kind of chipping away rather than kind of pilling up like others will. So it's like that very, very dried blood. Now we have the HD Blood, which as you can see doesn't really dry. That's fine. And then we have the HD Blood Gel, which dries down a little bit. It's still a little bit tacky to the touch and gummy, but it definitely does dry down because it's not really moving around. Now we have our Blood FX, which dries a little bit, just in the thin layers, but it still stays very movable, very fresh. Now we have the Fleet Street. This is the drying blood in fresh. So this is the lighter of the two. As you can see, it's in place and it has a really good brown base to it. And the same one, but in dark. Exactly the same. This bit's not dry yet, so you can see it's a little bit gummy. And then we have our wound filler from Krylon. This one doesn't really dry down, stays pretty gummy. You can move it around. So those are bloods. That's all I have for you today. Have a good one.